is a Variety Sports Network production. Now to your host.
Woo, man. That sounded nice. I like that
I like
one.
that new intro. Yeah,
I
so
like that. Yeah, that's a new one. I never heard it before, but good job, Brandon. Anyways, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Seventh Inning.
Stretch!
Oh, man, I had a picture of Hulk Hogan pulled up right as you said that. Anyways, my name is Logan Stone, and I am your host, as always, and with me, as always, is Josh Eduardo's. How are you doing, Josh?
Good, sir. Good, sir. How are you?
Good. And today we are joined by very special guests. We are joined by Tim and Nick from the Reds. I'm sorry, I'm totally spacing on the name. That's Late Night Podcast. How are you guys doing?
What's up,
Good,
guys?
man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. We love having guys from other teams who represent other teams come on. So this is really fun for us. Yeah. We'll talk about more about your podcast in a minute, but Josh, you want to do a quick read real quick before we get into this?
Yeah, because this episode is going to be sponsored by our number one sponsor, Row One Brand. If you guys don't know who Row One Brand is, go check out their website. They have a lot of cool vintage artwork, all for sports apparel, everything from like stuff you'd hang in your man cave, much like what Nick has sitting behind his background there and what Tim has in the background. Logan obviously needs to go buy something. Really cool vintage stuff, everything from college football, MLB, to NFL, all different kinds of things. T-shirts like what I'm wearing right now. It's a vintage Cardinals T-shirt. But all cool stuff. Anytime you go to Row One Brand and you pick something up out of their art gallery, put in code VSP15. They get you 15% off your order out of the art gallery. Again, that's row1brand.com.
Good job. Yeah, let's just get right into it. Sorry, it was kind of a quick ending. I was surprised by that. Anyways, so yeah, you guys talk about the Reds, and the Reds have had kind of an interesting season. They started off, 3-22. Looked like there were people saying, "Hey, these guys are not even going to make 30 wins this year at this rate." So what was that like at the beginning of the season, seeing such a spiral like it was?
Nick, you want me to take this or you got it?
It was just, one of those things where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And, I think this team this year needed a lot of things to go right for them to stay competitive. And pretty much all those things went wrong. And you got the 3-22 result. And there was a lot of overreaction to that. Jeff Passan, who I think is one of the best guys in the sport, wrote a really silly article about how the Reds might be one of the worst teams in the history of baseball, which was just nuts. I mean, and the Reds are 41-41 since that 3-22 start. So clearly, there's been worse teams than that, So, yeah. I mean, not good, but they were never as bad as the 3-22, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it was more like it was bad timing more than anything. Like Nick said, everything went wrong with injuries and players struggling and things like that. But it's a fan base that's really kind of given up on ownership and doesn't trust ownership. Right before 3-22 when the lockout ends, Nick Castellanos signs with the Phillies. Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez are traded to Seattle, and Sonny Gray's traded to Minnesota and things like that. It just was like all those things kind of had people really frustrated, and then they start 3-22, and it was a pretty rough start for the Reds.
Yeah, and now I think they're sitting at 500 right now, right? If I'm not mistaken, or unless they are.
Since the debacle of the first 25 games, they've been playing about 500 baseball.
Yeah, there's still like 18 games under 500.
Oh, are they? Okay.
But they weren't like a historically awful team. They're going to be a forgettable bad team. So
right now they're playing. I mean, they have been playing a lot better lately. But they did trade away some of their key players, Brandon Drury and Luis Castillo. Did that sting a little bit? I don't think any of us were really shocked that a lot of Luis Castillo was shipped, or Kind of Brandon Drury was a little bit, but what was y'all's reaction to that?
I don't necessarily know if it stung because we expected it.
Yeah.
If you listen to the show throughout the year, we were having this conversation for a while. And it definitely sucks because like we've seen Luis Castillo become, one of the top 15, 20 pitchers in baseball. So that was really cool to have him on your team when you felt pretty good every fifth day when he was on the mound. But we saw this coming and we talked about this, all year from that slow start, just kind of about, when can we start talking about guys potentially being moved and things like that? And, Nick and I, we texted about that daily. So it wasn't very, it didn't sting because we kind of expected it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I do want to go back a little bit. Now, at the beginning of the season, the idiot in charge, whose name escapes me at the moment, but the baseball operations president, he made some dumb comments. I'm not even going to get quoted again, but I mean, look, how bad did that hurt? Because I mean, I think it was the owner who said, well, I mean, we can move somewhere else or something like that. And it just sounded so weird and ungracious or whatever. Like it was the fans' fault that they had a bad team. What was y'all's reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad look. I mean, anyone who really like follows the Reds like closely and has any perspective, like kind of knew that's probably how they felt. Like, so it really was just like saying the quiet part out loud, really. It was a great soundbite that people still, I mean, every day I see a tweet, where you gonna go? I mean, it's still,
Yeah.
it still resonates. So, I mean, kind of where I'm at right now is like, the way they handled a lot of it was really bad and very mismanaged. And I don't blame a lot of people for being upset. But having said all that, I think what they did for the most part was the right moves for the future of this franchise. Because if you look at Nick Castellanos, not looking like a good 5-year contract right now. I mean, maybe things will change, but that would have put the Reds potentially in a bigger hole. Jesse Winker has not played very well for Seattle. And even if you had, both of those guys playing well, I'm not sure that was enough to really overcome everything else. So, for me, the biggest mistake in my Reds fandom that the Reds have made was back in 2015. They held on to guys too long. Like Johnny Cueto, and they got really crappy returns. So at least this time they are not holding on to players that they're gonna lose. You can be mad about them losing them, but they're gonna lose them. So they got the most value now, and the Reds farm system has gone from something that was below average to one of the best in baseball. And for the Reds, I mean, they've got to have a elite farm system to not just be competitive, but to be competitive for, years and years to come.
Yeah, you look at the last Reds length that we had of a pretty darn good ball club was that 2010 through 2013 run. They won 90 games 3 of those 4 years, and it was like guys like Joey Votto came through the system. Jay Bruce. They got Brandon Phillips when he was pretty young, and he kind of became developed as a major leaguer. But majority of the guys that were kind of contributing to the team were guys who came up through their system. And this is kind of the hope with what they've been able to do at the deadline, that we're going to get kind of a taste of that again, because they have gotten, a lot of teams top 5 prospects in these trades. So it's been pretty nice.
Well, that's good. Yeah. You're seeing a lot of these players. I mean, Jonathan India, rookie of the year last year, Kyle Farmer. And I think Hunter Green. I saw a stat about some of y'all's your pitching rotation of the last week. Lodolo, in the last 3 starters for the Reds, all rookies. Lodolo, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 7 Ks. Hunter Green, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 8 Ks. Ashcraft, 8 1/3 innings pitched, no earned runs. Since earned runs became an official stat in 1913, they are the only MLB team to start 3 straight rookies and have them combined for 18 Ks and no more than 1 earned run. So do you? I mean, obviously you see that, and you're hopeful for the future. So what do you expect in the future? When do you expect this team to be a top contender?
I would say, probably unrealistic to have any expectations in 2023. I could see 2023 going a lot of different ways for the Reds. I could see this team being a 90 loss team, or I could see, some of their guys progressing a little bit more and, maybe they're, competing closer to around the 500 mark. But I think realistically, the Reds are probably looking at more of 2024. Votto and Moustakas' contract will be off the books. So by 2024, the Reds will have $11 million on the books. And then in 2025, the Reds have nothing. So the Reds, who aren't a big spender, aren't like a Tampa Bay or Oakland or Cleveland or Pittsburgh, spender. So they're going to have a lot of money to spend. Probably like 70 million plus to spend in free agency or locking some of their current players up. So, I mean, that's probably a realistic target. 2024, you're hoping to start being competitive. 2025, you're really hoping you're, ramping up even more. But it's so hard to say when you're counting on guys who are currently in Double-A. How quickly are they going to develop? They could fly through and hit the ground running, as we see like with the guy like a Tatis, or how many prospects did we see at the beginning of this year that we thought were sure things that have struggled, and it took them time to get going.
Josh, do you have any questions at the moment before I move on?
Not yet.
Okay, then. Josh keeping me on the edge of my seat right here. So let's go back a little bit further. I think you guys are, if I'm correct in saying this, you guys are a little young since the last time the Reds won a World Series, right?
I was 1 year old.
Was it 90?
Yep. I was 3.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. So, yeah. You guys haven't I mean, they have, I think, one of the longest streaks, right, of not winning World Series.
They haven't advanced in the playoffs since 1995.
Right.
Yeah.
World Series is like, that's a whole another thing.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, so what made you guys turn into fans of the Reds, really? To begin with, I mean, obviously, like Josh and I, Josh was born in St. Louis, the St. Louis area, grew up on Cardinals baseball. My dad was born in St. Louis and raised in St. Louis, and so he taught me well because I'm born in Texas. So it was either that or the Rangers, and the Rangers were not good back in the 2000s. So what got you guys really into the Reds fan base?
I grew up here. It's been part of my life for as long, forever. My infant pictures, I'm wearing Reds onesies. It's kind of just been something like my dad passed on to me. So, it was always something where it was always something I loved. We used to live about 10 minutes away. We could just walk the bridge over to Riverfront Stadium every night. And we did that a lot. So it was always part of something I really enjoyed just because it was something I did with my dad. But 99 was when I fell in love. So that team, it's the year before they got Ken Griffey Jr. So they were 96 and 66. They lost to the Mets in the 1-game wild card to determine who was going to have the wild card spot in the National League. And that team would they would be down 7-2 in the 7th inning, and they would come back and find a way to fight back in games. They were so much fun. And my dad and I went to about 50 games that year just because tickets were really cheap at Riverfront. And that's when it just kind of I got hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I
I'll be back.
Oh no. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. As Cardinals fans, the early 2010s were kind of the Reds were kind of the thorn in our side. yeah. So
A lot of fun memories from those games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both ways.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 2010 not being one of them. 2011 kind of. But yeah, it was. Yeah. So I want to ask you this before he comes back on. Like, what is kind of the view of the St. Louis Cardinals from a Reds fan's perspective?
So me personally, I just respect them too much to like treat them bad. Like,
Yeah.
They've consistently won and they've always been, a very good my whole life. Like, I can't remember a time when the Cardinals were bad for extended periods of time. So I dislike them, but it's something where I really respect them. It's not like, Nick will laugh at this. Like, I absolutely hate everything from the city of Pittsburgh. So I hate the Pirates.
Really?
But I dislike the Cardinals. I just respect the hell out of them because they've always won. They've always developed their players. I grew up with Albert Pujols being really good, and when Alan Craig was like good at baseball for 3 years in St. Louis. But yeah, majority of the fan base, that is like enemy number one is the Cardinals, and a lot of that started with the Brandon Phillips stuff and like kind of like being like when he was saying all they do is bitch and whine, and he's hitting walk-offs and yelling F the Cardinals and stuff like that, which was a little much. Like, we can tell you. Like, here, like Nick and I can be pretty honest that Brandon Phillips was a lot of a person for us to deal with on a daily basis as fans. But yeah, so to answer your question, the Cardinals are kind of majority of the fan base. They're kind of the evil empire, right? They're Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And like the stormtroopers, like.
So Nick, what got you? I hope you're okay now. What got you into the Reds? Got you into the Reds whole organization fan base thing?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I think I got a loose wire on my camera. I got to get fixed. I keep getting kicked out of stuff. I got it from my grandpa. He's the one who kind of hooked me. I'm from Cincinnati too, so yeah. From as long as I can remember, loved baseball, loved the Reds, and I've had my ups and downs. When the Reds moved to cable only, like my family didn't have cable growing up. So I actually kind of didn't really watch the Reds all that much from like 2000 to like 2007 when I went to college. And then when I went to college, I, kind of got into like MLB radio and then ended up kind of really getting back in. And then Jay Bruce was actually the guy that really hooked me back in. I went to his debut randomly, had no idea who he was, and ended up going like 30 times that summer and haven't stopped. So
who was a part of that all-star outfield? It was Drew Stubbs, Jay Bruce, and who was the third?
What year?
It was like 2010, 2011.
Lance Nix and Johnny Gomes, baby.
I'm also thinking of Ryan Ludwig.
That was 2012.
2012, yeah.
And then Chris Heisey was in between all that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, now I remember. Because I remember, like, back in, like, 2009 and 10, you guys had Scott Rowland, Ryan Ludwig, I think Ryan Franklin at one point or something. And, like...
Jim Edmonds for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Edmonds. And, like, I was like, why are all these Cardinals going to the rivals right now? But anyways.
Edgar Renteria?
Oh, don't even get me started on Edgar Renteria.
Walt Jocketty was our GM, so he was just like all the guys that he'd have like drafted and scouted and developed. He was like, I'm going to bring them over. So
he was like, come hither.
Farewell tour in Cincinnati.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So let's talk about your podcast. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm space. Sorry, this light is going on, so I'm about to turn my camera off. But sorry, that's why it's blinking. But what made you guys want to start talking about, the Reds, the way that you are right now?
So I've been podcasting now a long time, so about 12, 13 years. And Nick and I have always gotten along pretty well, like over social media. We were just kind of, we're buddies,
Gotten along. Tolerated each other.
Yeah. He didn't block me. Yeah. Nick didn't block me, which is a big deal. So I kind of just like sent him a message one day and I was like, hey, have you heard of this Locker Room app? We should go on there and do a Reds talk show. And he was like, yeah, just downloaded it. Let's try it out. And we did that for like a month. And then we're like, let's actually just get like a real podcast. And it turned into like, we got Carlos to join us. Carlos Guevara is our third. He's a former big league pitcher, was drafted by the Reds.
Oh, dang.
So he's our third guy. I shouldn't say it like that. He's, we're all pretty equal, but Carlos was like kind of the thing that really kind of got us off the jump because, having like a big league pitcher you can just go to for any questions you have as far as what's life's like in the majors. It's something that kind of gives us a leg up on a lot of other podcasts and gives us a lot of cool conversation. And yeah, from there just kind of turned to like, we got a little bit more popular than we thought we would, not to brag, but like, we were like all like, we were just all in town together for the first time, the Cardinals series or after the All-Star break. And it was cool. We went to all 3 games and we had people come up to us like, hey, we really like the show. We enjoy you guys. And it was an awesome time. So like,
well, I'm sure it was an awesome time. You guys won the series.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still salty about that.
We were expecting it for real.
Yeah, we were just like, we knew we were going to pummel them.
We weren't surprised at all.
Yeah. We had Mike Minor on the mound one game. We were like, you guys aren't ready for this.
Yeah, right. It seemed like we weren't, but yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Luckily, hopefully the Cardinals have turned a corner. But anyways, yeah. You guys have some really cool stuff, content-wise. Even though I unfortunately can't remember y'all's
late night Reds talk.
Late night Reds talk. I'm sorry about that. I'm terrible with names today for some reason. But anyways, shut up, Josh. But anyways, so I was listening to local, well, not local, but St. Louis ESPN today, and I got into an argument with my father, and I want you guys to validate my argument because it has to do with one of your catchers, old catchers. They were playing start, bench, or cut, and I assume you guys know how to do that. You pick a player, start, bench, and cut. The players were Pudge Rodriguez, Johnny Bench, or Yadier Molina. And they were going around and they were saying, start Yadi, bench Pudge, and cut bench. Now, before you start, because I already know you guys are angry about this, I do not like Yadier Molina. And whenever I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh. This
is legal?
Are you allowed to?
Let me tell you something.
Logan wishes Yadier Molina was never born.
No,
never been a Card.
No, you stop that. You stop making this misinformation. But anyways,
this is not.
I think
this is true.
This is not true. But yeah, I had to pick my jaw off the floor because to me, I think there's nobody better than Johnny Bench. Listen, Yadi was really good defensively for a long time. Offensively, he was able to show that he had some offensive prowess, like between 2011 and 15, but that was about it. But anyways, I want to hear y'all's assessment of that.
Respectfully?
Don't be respectful, please.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I really like, and I'm not just saying this because, but I mean, I didn't see Johnny Bench play. You know what I mean? He retired 6 years before I was born.
Yeah.
So, but like looking at numbers and stuff, being like baseball geeks, Yadier Molina, like I said, really good defensively and really knew how to handle a rotation and kind of keep a pitching staff in order. But he's not Pudge or Johnny Bench. Pudge in my lifetime and Mike Piazza are probably the 2 best total package catchers I saw.
Oh, in your lifetime.
Yeah, until obviously, Buster Posey was pretty awesome. So was Joe Mauer. But those guys played a lot of first base towards the end of their careers too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no disrespect to Yadi in the sense that, obviously he's earned the right to be, a Cardinals great. He's been a part of a World Series team. He's won a lot of Gold Gloves, but he's not any of those guys to me.
Yeah, no. Nick?
I mean, like, Bench has like a 100-point higher OPS in his career. Like, I don't even. I mean, like Yadier Molina was like an average hitter. Pudge Rodriguez was a slightly above average hitter, and for a catcher that is an elite defensive, that's a huge value player. That's a great player. But Johnny Bench would have been a great hitter if he played first base.
Yeah.
So like I don't even, and Bench was known in his time as revolutionizing the catching position as a great defensive catcher. So I don't know. I guess if you want to make the case that he's in the class of Pudge Rodriguez, you know what? I'll maybe listen to it. I don't think so. I mean, you're still talking like 10 points in OPS plus that, Pudge Rodriguez was better. Defensive, it's so hard to quantify how much value it has. So I don't know. I mean, all those guys were known as great defensive catchers. I don't like how are you separating two guys that are known as great defensive catchers? Like you just have to go to the offense, and the offense is, clearly significantly better.
So, who would let's play the game real quick. Start, bench, or cut. Pudge, Yachty, or bench.
I'd probably start bench. Yeah, I'd start bench, Pudge, and cut Yachty.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I do the same, but I would say, I don't think Yachty's. I don't think anyone would be completely asinine to have Molina on the bench and Pudge cut. I don't think that's nuts.
Yeah,
but bench, he's far and away above.
Yeah, Johnny Bench, 2-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 2-time World Series champion, World Series MVP, 14-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glove, Major League Player of the Year. Yeah, that's pretty big. Josh, do you have anything to comment on that?
I mean, Bench would be my start. I mean, I'm not an idiot.
Really?
Although Yachty's like my favorite player in the last. I mean, him and AP are 1-2 for me in the last 20 years. So, I mean, but Pudge was my favorite catcher until Yachty came along. So you're putting me in a bind. I mean, I would go Yachty just out of my fandom, and I would cut Pudge, but I mean, Pudge was the dude, man. He was a rock. Now back to something Tim said. I'll take Yachty over Mike Piazza.
No. But anyways, I really dislike Yachty. He's been playing 4 years, way too long. But I heard that right before we came on, and I honestly I was yelling at my dad about this, so it was weird. But anyways, Josh, do you have any other questions about the Reds before we go into our next ad read?
I mean, the one question I have is, so Tim, you kind of gave us your perception of how Cincinnati fans feel about St. Louis fans, and that we are the evil empire of Star Wars. Is there a team that Reds fans hate more than the Cardinals?
No.
Okay.
Maybe
definitely. But Cardinals fans,
maybe if the Cubs were good, it would be closer. Just because, like, when the Reds play the Cubs, it's like all blue. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, like, if it ever got to a point, which I don't know if I ever see it happening, if it ever got to a point where the Cardinals, took a step back for a couple of years and the Cubs were really good, I could see that maybe flipping. I could see that being more of a rivalry, but unless that happens, it's far and away the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And the Pirates have like 6 fans, so I don't.
Yeah, but I hate all 6 of them.
It's hard to really have a rivalry with that.
What did Pittsburgh ever do to you? But anyways,
I'm confused about that. We'll have to go to that later. But
yeah. So there aren't many dynasties in baseball, but I mean, I think the Big Red Machine is probably considered one of the best teams ever. Tony Perez, Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, Pete Rose. So what, like, do you guys, I mean, is the Big Red Machine still a big deal for you guys, or is it like, do you guys reminisce about it every day? Like, do you have a shrine or still, or?
I wouldn't go. No, I mean, it's obviously cool. Like, it's awesome. Like, the legacy of what they did. And it's something that's definitely celebrated throughout the city. Anytime you go to Great American Ballpark, they all have statues. Whether it's in another, we have the Reds Hall of Fame Museum where they have displays. So you definitely appreciate it. And like me, so Johnny Bench was my dad's hero. So like, for me, being able to like one year at Christmas give my dad a signed baseball from Johnny Bench was a really cool feeling. Just because that's who my dad loved growing up. That was my dad's favorite player. Like my dad grew up in Bellevue, Kentucky, which is 5 minutes away from downtown Cincinnati. So him and his brothers would walk to Riverfront every night and just watch the Big Red Machine kick some ass. And can I say that here?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Just want to make sure. It happens a lot on our show, as Nick will tell you. So, yeah, you definitely appreciate and respect it, but it's not something like we sit around and are like, man, the Big Red Machine were just like, when people like are like, they're like the 27 Yankees. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, that's great. Good for them. But like, it's not something where like, if I'm like in a sports bar argument with somebody, I'm not like, well, we had the Big Red Machine, so suck it,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, a really cool, part of like the heritage of the Reds, and, they do a great job celebrating it. I'll be honest, at times, as someone who didn't grow up with that has not had teams that have had a lot of success, it can get kind of nauseating. It just, and I don't blame the Reds, but it's all they celebrate. Like there's like 60 days of like, former Reds, and I don't know. So some of it can, like while I appreciate it and respect it, and I'm happy for it, there also is like quite a divide, and it seems to gotten a little bit better. But like with older Reds fans, like they didn't appreciate Joey Votto at all because of the Reds' lack of playoff success. Like that got blamed on him, and it's such a different era because the Reds will never be able to build a team like that. There's not many teams like that. I don't know if there'll ever be a team like that, but the Reds certainly aren't, just because of the economics of baseball have changed so much since then. And so it's just it like. The comparison just kind of gets stale to me, and so I don't know, that would, I guess, kind of be my thoughts on it. And I don't like Pete Rose at all, and I'm sick of him being celebrated and having a statue in front of the stadium, so that really tarnishes it more than anything else.
I think the other interesting dynamic for me is, I'm a big Reds fan, so we had the Big Red Machine this one decade where they were like the best of the best. I'm a diehard Chicago Bulls fan. One decade where they were the best of the best, and that's all people talk about when it comes to the Bulls. And it's like, yes, that was the only time they won championships, but they've had times where they were a really good basketball team. But so that's what it kind of reminds me of, in a sense. Being a fan of both those teams, like that's what I hear all the time.
Yeah, it's a good comparison.
Yeah. I guess I never really looked at that. Like it's kind of almost, I mean, comparatively, like the Yankees fans always saying, "Oh, we have 27 championships," when they haven't won in 10 years. But I mean, yeah. So I know, Nick, you have to go pretty soon, and hopefully Tim can stay on for just a little bit longer.
However long you need me.
Yeah. So before you go, I want to ask you both, what is there to be excited about in the Reds, for the Reds' future? Or I mean, is there anything to be excited about as a Reds fan? Or
First off, ow.
I hope so.
We're
gonna have some brutal podcasts over the next couple of years.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the Reds farm system right now is loaded. The Reds at the trade deadline essentially acquired an entire infield of really good prospects, like legitimately a third baseman, a first baseman, a shortstop, and two shortstops, so one of them can play second base. So I mean, they're loaded. Ellie De La Cruz is a player that is going to be talked about all over baseball, kind of already starting to, but it's just going to continue. As someone who recently started getting into the minor leagues a little bit more, since that's the most exciting part of the Reds, been watching a lot of their games, and Ellie De La Cruz is just electric. So there's going to be a lot of excitement. There's going to be a lot of growing pains through that, but I've said it on our show. I'll say it again. I mean, I'd much rather be watching a team that's going through those growing pains and has that upside than, watching a team that's over the hill, that's running out the string, and that has no hope. So, I definitely think that is probably, what most look forward to. And I think it's going to be, I definitely think the Reds have a bright future. Just hard to tell when that's going to be, but I think they do have a lot going. So, but I'm going to get out of here, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming
Yeah.
on, Nick. We appreciate you taking time out to be with us.
Yeah,
thanks,
absolutely.
Nick.
All right.
Yeah, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, I can piggyback off that too if
Yeah.
you want. So, I mean, everything Nick said is 100% accurate. You know, the fact that they've rebuilt the farm system. But, you know, you talked about earlier in the show, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Graham Ashcraft. We're seeing these young guys who are coming up. I mean, Hunter Green threw 200 minor league innings because he had the COVID year. He had Tommy John. Like, you know, he's had to deal with a lot of, like, stoppages. So to see him, like, have pretty decent success, like, I don't care what his ERA says. I watch him game to game, so I know, like, he's making progress. And then, you know, Jonathan India was just National League Rookie of the Year. Tyler Stevenson, before he got hurt, you saw really kind of one of the top 3 nationally hitting catchers. And then Nick Senzel is a guy I'm still pretty high on. I still think he has like value as a major league player. And you're starting to see he was the 2nd overall pick in his draft class. Yeah. But he's had a lot of injuries. He's had a lot of inability of staying on the field. But he's a guy who can play a lot of different positions. Like tonight, they got in a pinch and he had to play third base after playing center field. You're starting to see him kind of finally like what it's like when he's on the field consistently. Would like to see the power get up a little more, but you know, on top of what's going on in the farm system, you're already starting to see guys who contribute to hopefully when the Reds are good again, they're part of the ball club. So
who's the most exciting player right now?
Prospect or on the roster?
On the roster.
Okay. So for me, Hunter Green's obviously pretty damn exciting. Anyone that can throw 102 is pretty fun to watch. You know, we had a Aroldis Chapman for 7 years. That was a blast. But you know, Hunter Green's obviously a lot of fun, and seeing him learn how to pitch, seeing him kind of be like, look, any major league hitter can square up 100 now. It's kind of like everyone throws 100, so it's not like he's like super unique in that sense anymore. But learning how to locate his fastball, learning how to build off his fastball to use his slider and things like that has been a lot of fun. On the offensive side, I know he's hurt right now, but man, Tyler Stevenson's awesome.
Yeah,
and
I really like him.
Just seeing what he's turning into when he's on the field is so impressive. And there's a big debate going around here. It's really stupid about like, should he switch to first base because he gets injured? And it's really dumb to me because it's not like it's like, oh, he tore his ACL again, or it's like, oh, it's freak accidents. It's not, like, so, and the Reds are much better. And he's he's going to make more money as a catcher than if he switches positions. So
what did he get injured off of?
He broke his collarbone in the Cardinal series.
Oh, okay.
First batter post All-Star break, he breaks his collarbone.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that series, luckily enough. But yeah, I mean, I love Tyler Stevenson. I know Yachty is retiring after this year, and I was like, these are catchers who I want to replace him, and Tyler Stevenson is one, Wilson Contreras, and Sean Murphy. But I love Tyler Stevenson, and so I'm glad that you picked him. Josh, do you have anything you want to say before I move on?
So Tim, we were talking a little bit earlier. And this is going to kind of piggyback off what Logan said. Who's your favorite prospect?
Let
me make it easier on you. Who's your favorite prospect do you think will make an impact next season?
Ooh, okay. That is, I think Spencer Strand can make an impact next season. He's one of the guys that got in the Tyler Mahle trade from Minnesota. He just played in the Futures game. He might be up the next week. They said 2 infielders go down tonight. So,
really?
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. But Ellie De La Cruz is, it's hard to not be excited about him. He's, I don't really know, I don't really read a lot as far as like the top 100 prospect list. I know a lot of people put value into that. But with our show, we've been lucky to make friends with people who literally watch minor league baseball all the time. And they're telling us, like, we think he might be the number 1 listed prospect next year. He has that upside. He's really young. I think he just turned 22. He just got promoted to Double-A, and he's raking there as well. He's a 6'6" shortstop right now. So the conversation is, will he
shortstop?
There seems to be a lot of that lately. We have O'Neal Cruz. Who's the other guy? I think Jordan Walker is pretty tall too, but he's a third baseman. But yeah, it's.
Let me triple check that. I have his baseball card right next to me. 6'2". Sorry, 6'2". Oh, yeah, okay. I'm insane.
I was going to say 6'6".
Still pretty tall for a shortstop.
Yeah, right.
You can put him anywhere though. Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to see if there's there's a reason why there's a lot of tall shortstops lately. It just seems weird.
There's not only a lot of tall catchers, like Tyler Stevens is one of the taller catchers, and he's so Ellie's definitely the guy that everyone's the most excited about. But a guy they also got in that Twins trade that I really like is the Encarnacion Strand, Christian Encarnacion Strand. Just a big bat, big power hitter, can play first base. The big worry I've had for this Reds team for a long time wasn't necessarily like, will they be good again? It's what does life look like at first base post Joey Votto? And we might finally have an answer to that, because like when Votto's been hurt throughout his tenure with the Reds, it's like, I guess we'll try Jay Bruce at first base today and see if this works. He hasn't played it before, but Todd Frazier obviously in the 2012 season was really good at first for a while Joey was injured, but it's been a really like, if Joey Votto's not at first base, it's a revolving door of, oh God, this is scary. So now we kind of finally maybe have a glimpse of what life is like when he does end up leaving Cincinnati, whether that's next year or the year after when he's 41. So who knows?
Yeah. So go ahead.
Since we're talking about Votto, why did he had the opportunity to get out and go play for winning teams? Is there a story as to why he didn't leave? Does he love the organization that much, or was it the money they were giving? Like, can you give me a little insight on why a guy with his caliber and the potential he had to go win decided to stay with an organization that was never really on the cusp of getting the job done? No disrespect.
So Carlos, who's on our show, is actually really good friends with Joey. They were minor league roommates, so they have a really good relationship. And he's talked to us about some things I can't really share here, just to, the respect of their relationship. But I will put it to you this way. So, Joey's from Toronto, Canada. Big Raptors fan. The Raptors won the title a couple years ago. And he was on Dan Patrick last year saying that he didn't like how they won because Kawhi Leonard left San Antonio to go there. If that tells you something, Joey seems to have a lot of loyalty to him. If they were to be able to win in Cincinnati with him there, which you're right, it doesn't look like it's going to happen by the end of his contract. It would mean so much more to him than if he went to the Yankees and was the DH and they won. You know what I mean? Like, it would just mean so much more to him. And I don't understand. I do feel like he really loves Cincinnati. I think it's something where like he really has a lot of appreciation here. So I definitely think it plays a part. I don't ask what he thinks of ownership. I don't ask any of that stuff because, he's been here for a lot of these trades on and off. I mean, you're talking about a guy that played a year with Ken Griffey Jr. In Cincinnati. So he's seen a lot. And, it seems like he's just kind of been really comfortable here. And I feel like comfortability matters a lot to him. So I think that's just kind of what it came down to. I would have loved to have won with him because he's my favorite Red ever. Breaks my heart that he did not get to experience like deep postseason success at any point. But there'll never be another player like him here. I can tell you that much.
Well, I think Logan and I are both Votto fans. Yeah, we always wanted to see him win.
His tweet a couple weeks ago, I guess it got I don't know if you heard this, but he said he was going to St. Louis and he made a bean joke on Twitter, and like apparently a lot of people got angry about this. So he said, I apologize, and he started making like bean puns in the tweet. And I just love Joey Votto. It's like I don't understand why people don't like him, and anyone who doesn't like him is an idiot. But that is kind of interesting because you kind of, and I don't mean to press too much, but like it kind of sounds like he's not a fan of like going and chasing a championship. Like he doesn't want to go to an already good team. He wants to be there at the start and doesn't want to seem like a LeBron James. And no disrespect to LeBron James, but he went to the Heat, and then Kevin Durant went to the Warriors when they were already an established dynasty. So yeah, I understand that, and I think that's a very old school move on his part, from what it sounds like.
A guy like he's really idolized is Ted Williams. The Red Sox never won when Ted Williams was there. But he didn't go anywhere. He sat through it all. So
I was just talking about how Joey Votto talks about that book that Ted Williams wrote. He basically uses it as a Bible still. Anyways, So yeah, that's interesting. But piggybacking off of Joey Votto, you said that Reds fans kind of turned on him. When was that, and what really went into that?
So 2011 was the year after he won the MVP. And, there was a big question of like, well, it's a shame that this small market team is going to lose Joey Votto. And a lot of fans were like, this really sucks because, he's become the guy.
Yeah.
He signs a pretty hefty contract at the time, kind of rivaled Albert's contract with the Angels at the time. And everyone got mad at him because it's like, well, because he can't win here with this fan base is the harsh reality of it. But they're like, why would they give him that much money? That's ridiculous. He's only had 2 good years. And it's like, well, you just said that you have to keep him. So you can't have it both ways. And his style of play is something where like, you guys asked a lot about the machine. And it's like, well, if Tony Perez had a guy on second base, he was swinging at everything to get the guy in. And it's just this old man way of looking at baseball. And, like baseball's not really played that way anymore. One of the coolest things you can say about Joey Votto is he led the league in on-base percentage 7 times. Like that's Hall of Fame shit right there. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like leading something like your league in a positive thing 7 times. And, people always looked at it like people care way too much about RBIs and they look at batting average and they care way too much about this like old man back of your baseball card statistics kind of thing, where Joey's more like, like I would rather extend the inning. I would rather get on base. He's like, if I can knock the run in, I'm going to. It's and it's like, but he's like, I'm gonna test the strike zone. I'm gonna learn about like what this umpire has and like what his heat map is and things like that. And people just didn't like it because they wanted to see, if you're making this much money, you got to be hitting 35 home runs, knocking in 120 RBIs. And like, he's done that. Don't be wrong. A few good amount of his career, but he's also been the guy that's like, yeah, I mean, if it's more beneficial for me to walk to bring G Bruce up and put runners on first and second with 1 out, I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. And, that's kind of the career he's built.
Yeah. If only there was another player like that.
You're stroking Logan's ego right now, by the way.
I know.
Joey's cool in the sense that he like he speaks really high of Albert. Like he really likes Albert. They were kind of the best of the best. The best 2 first base in the National League were in the same division for a few years before Albert went to Los Angeles.
Well, yeah, in like 2010 and 11, and even before that a little bit. It was him, Prince Fielder, and Albert. It was the 3. And they were always competing, it seemed like, for MVP. So and so that's really cool.
Because like from what I understand, he's more kind of said like there's only like a few players he's been like, like Trout, Miggy, Albert. Those are kind of the guys that he's been like, they're probably the guys above me, but I'm right there with them.
Yeah, I mean, looking at his baseball reference page, he has a career 413 on base percentage. He has never had a below average year in on base percentage. He has a 146 career OPS and a 928 OPS plus, 928 OPS and a 146 OPS plus. If he had a 928 OPS plus, oh my gosh. But yeah, right. Man, yeah. So I always thought for some reason that he kind of went downhill a couple of years. Obviously his batting average went down, but like you said, if he could walk to help a team, he would do that, and that's really cool for me. Looking at it, I think I liked Joey Votto a lot, but I didn't respect him as much as I should have. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, right?
I think so. I'm sure there'll be some old baseball head writers who'll be like, yeah, well, he never got out of the first round. And all right, in that case, I guess Mike Trout's not a first ballot Hall of Famer either. So
he's almost a free agent. Next year is his last season. Do you expect him to retire, or do you he's 38 years old right now. He'll be 30. He'll be 40 by the end of the next season. You expect him to retire, or do you have him going one more season?
So it's really tricky. I haven't really gotten much intel on this either. Like,
Yeah.
I think he's kind of playing it pretty close to the chest as far as like what his thought process is there. Besides, he's told people when he retired, he's going to drive a school bus. That's kind of like his goal, apparently, which, just always gives us a good laugh.
Yeah.
I could see him retiring. I could see him, signing a 1-year contract to go play elsewhere. I'm sure there is a part of him, that would be really cool for him to play for the Blue Jays for a year or so. Like, I'm sure there's a part of him that would really love that.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that says yes or no. I don't have anything that tells me like that would be the case. But it's where he grew up. It's, like they got to play there this year and he got to be home, and he's got I believe he still has a home up there. So he spends the majority of his off season up there. So I'm sure like there's a big part of him that would like that. I don't know if the Reds will, they're definitely not going to pick up his option because his option is a hell of a lot of money. But if there's something where they bring him back to DH and he plays for $2-3 million, kind of like what you guys did with Pujols this year, I could see that as a possibility. It's going to go one of three ways. He's going to be a Red for a year, way less money. He's going to play somewhere else, or he's going to retire. So I have no idea where the thought process on that quite at the moment.
When you get the inside track, you got to let us know.
If I'm allowed.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, that was a lot of intel on not intel, sorry. Insight into the Joey Votto right there, and I like that. So I know we're approaching about an hour right now, but before we really start wrapping this up, I wanted to ask you. Everyone talks about the 1919 World Series. I wanted to ask you as a Reds fan, because it just dawned on me, what is a Reds fan's perspective of the 1919 World Series?
Banners hanging up in our stadium, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to know. It's totally fine.
It's just one of those, like, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the machine. Like, it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I saw it. Like you talked about earlier, like Yankees fans were like, we have 27 championships. It's like, if you want to talk to me about the ones you saw in the 90s, okay.
Yeah.
I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hate them. So when people come to me, they're like, yeah, we've got 6 Super Bowls. I'm like, cool, you were alive for 2 of those.
Yeah.
You did not watch Jack Lambert play football, okay?
Yeah.
Like, don't come to me with this bullshit. So the 1919 World Series is a fun story. Eight Men Out is one of my favorite baseball movies.
Really?
So, I've enjoyed that. And Charlie Sheen plays in that movie as a member of the White Sox, but he's a big Reds fan. So I thought that was kind of funny. But it's a cool story. I'm a big fan of Boardwalk Empire on HBO, and like one of the seasons they actually had a storyline around the fixing the World Series, and I thought that was neat. So for me, it's more of a pop culture thing than like what it matters for the legacy of the Reds, honestly.
Yeah. I just realized, there's not really a lot of people who talk about the Reds' point of view of that whole scandal, and to us, the Cardinals back in 1985 got like this really bad World Series call that screwed us out of the World Series. And so Cardinals fans always talk about how the Cardinals have 12 World Series wins, but one of them is in Kansas City.
I'm sure there's 11 championships, and your guys this year just hurt so bad to not have one more.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of funny because you kind of said, a lot of people you're kind of sick of the whole thing. And then me as a Cardinal fan, I get so sick and tired of hearing about the 2011 team.
Really? That team was great.
Not for 90% of the season.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Oh my God. I was heartbroken when I was so heartbroken in Game 6 when they came back and won. I was like, God, man, like at that time, I still really liked Josh Hamilton at the time.
Yeah, right.
We didn't know a lot of the things that came out shortly after.
Oh gosh, Josh.
So, seeing him like win an MVP and just like I thought he was the natural. I thought he was the real life version of the natural. So like when Alan Craig just like goes crazy in Game 6, like I was heartbroken. But now it's kind of like, I don't really get too wrapped up. Like if the Steelers win the Super Bowl, I get pissed off. But like if like the Cardinals win another World Series, I'm not like throwing things mad at the world. I'm like, all right, whatever. It was their year. I don't want to hear it from their fan base when they come to Cincinnati. I don't care.
Yeah, no.
But it's not like it just affects my life anymore.
Yeah, it was funny to me. Josh, do you have anything you want to say real quick?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
Are you excited for the game Thursday night, Tim?
I am. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah, I
a
was gonna ask
cool.
about that.
I don't necessarily care the Reds are playing in it. It's cool that they are. I love they're wearing those unis. We kind of got a taste of it back in 2019. Was the 150th anniversary of the franchise, and it was like every homestand, weekend homestand, they wore a throwback jersey from the organization's history. It was a really really fun time. Like just going there and like you'd go like a few Sundays and see them wear a different uniform. I really liked it. I'm a sucker for nostalgia and I'm a sucker for throwback jerseys. Like we were just at the series when St. Louis was in town that we all worked together. The Saturday game, you guys wore the baby blues, and I love seeing those on the field. I wasn't alive when Willie McGee was winning World Series with you guys, but seeing that is something I really appreciate and enjoy. I really like when you guys wear like the Stan Musial era jersey.
Yeah,
So,
the
like-
Saturday home jerseys, the cream
Yeah.
one.
I think
Yeah.
that's a really cool looking thing. Like
It's really nice. I like it.
it is nice, and so it's just like we got to kind of taste it to kind of see that too, and like Field of Dreams is such a cool like I don't know. I guess the kind of my thoughts are going everywhere here for a moment, so let me bring it back. I think off-site stuff in baseball is really cool. A few years ago, the Reds and Cardinals played that game in Mexico City, that series. I thought that was neat. The Yankees and Red Sox had that one crazy game in London where it was like 10 home runs were hit or something like a few years back. I thought that was neat. And, it's different from in football when like your team has a home game and they play in London because you only get, 8 or 9 home games a season now with the extended schedule. I think baseball, no one's hurt that the Reds are losing a home game to be the home team in the Field of Dreams game. So if they want to do more things like this, I'm all for it. I think it's great. It's a cool way to like bring pop culture back into baseball. And I think like baseball really struggles with that as far as like a big product. So yeah, I dig it. I think it'll be neat. Nick Lodolo's on the mound for us in that game. So that makes it fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And, they might have a chance at winning because the Cubs traded a lot of their good players away too. And the Reds are above them in the standings right now. So
Yeah, the Cubs really suck. But yeah,
I'm sure that just brings you guys joy to say.
honestly, for me,
Not at all. Actually.
no, yeah, I was gonna say,
be good.
yeah, we both at the beginning of the season, we both thought the Cubs were going to be better, and Josh and I, we're of the firm belief that we want there to be good competition, especially in a division. So the fact that the Cardinals and the Brewers, and now it's just the Cardinals basically being the top two is just kind of sad to us. So we want the Reds to be really good. We want the Cubs to do really well. We even want the Pirates, those fucking Pirates who really personally hurt you for some reason. Okay, we got to ask now. We got to ask. I got to ask. I'm too curious. What is with the Pirates hate and the Pittsburgh hate?
Well, first I grew up in Cincinnati. So that's
Yeah.
step
It's
one.
natural. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just always been like part of me that I've just always hated everything from Pittsburgh. I hate the Steelers more than, a lot of things in this society. I hate them
So are
more
you
than
a
I hate
Bengals guy?
Die Hard.
Okay, cool. Fair enough.
Yeah. I hate the Steelers more than I hate ketchup. I hate the Steelers more than I hate onions. I hate the Steelers more than I hate, Nickelback. Like I hate the Steelers with deep burning passion. And the Pirates just kind of fall into that. And it's a lot of just like, there was that stretch for a couple of years ago where they were pretty decent, right? You guys knocked them out in the playoffs that year.
Mm-hmm.
They beat us in the 1-game wild card. They have that on us, sure.
2013, yeah.
But it's a lot of just like their inability of their fan base to understand how baseball really works. And they're like, they got excited for a couple years there and they talk hella shit when they're good for, an hour. Remember they would have those couple years, they'd be really good going to the All-Star break. And then they would like somehow have a losing season.
Yeah.
Those were always joyous to me. Their fans
Andrew
always
McCutchen was going to be the next Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
I remember
fans would
hearing
always
that.
try to tell me that McCutchen was better than Joey Votto, and that looks silly now quite a bit, doesn't it? It's just always been like the fan base from that city is just the god awful, the worst, and I wish no success for them. The Bengals play the Steelers week 1. I hope Kenny Pickett throws 5 interceptions.
He probably will.
and Joe
in
Burrow
a
throws for
small
500
house.
yards. Yeah.
He probably will with his receiving core.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Pittsburgh hate is just, it's a lot of rooted.
Uh,
So also this is very unpopular, but I'm a big Notre Dame football fan, and Notre Dame and Pitt also have a rivalry. So I guess it's a rivalry. When I grew up, it was.
Yeah, it's
But
not
Notre
anymore.
Dame's won a lot of those games the last, 10 years or so. So and also I hate UK basketball, and John Calipari is their head coach, and he's from Pittsburgh. So
You hate UK basketball too? So are you a UC fan?
No.
Okay.
I cover UC basketball. My basketball podcast, I'm credentialed for all the local Division I schools. So I cover Xavier, I cover UC, and I cover Northern Kentucky. If I had to pick one, I definitely lean more towards Xavier just because my stepdad's Xavier alum. So I grew up going to games. Cintas is just awesome. It's my favorite place to work a game. And I've worked, Madison Square Garden, I've worked the Yum Center, but Cintas Center and Xavier is just nothing like it.
He doesn't put no.
Tim, I don't say this often enough, and Josh is going to get really jealous that I say this, but I love you.
He loves everybody but me, so I'm not jealous.
that was good. I hate Pittsburgh more than I hate ketchup. You need to put that on a shirt, honestly.
Yep.
And
Can we put that
onions.
in our merch store?
Yeah, right. We're gonna steal that. But anyways,
Go for it.
yeah,
We need
right.
a picture of your face. Send to Logan. We're
Yeah,
gonna put
right.
you on the shirt.
That's fine.
Who's your favorite player in Major League Baseball right now?
That's not a red.
I mean, it can be a
Um,
red, but it's got to be a really good,
Yeah,
Well, I figured you go with bottom.
yeah, that's always, but like non-red wise, kind of a goofy one. My wife's family are from Cleveland, so I've gotten to watch a lot of Guardians. My wife's grandma is 90 years old, and she watches every Guardians game, and she's like, we just text about it. It's great. So I freaking love Jose Ramirez. I love that he signed the contract to stay there. Nick talked about it earlier. They're not a big spending franchise by any means, but they are, kind of like St. Louis. They always develop guys. They always have good players that they bring up to their system. And he's just kind of like, you thought after Lindor, like that might, like the Lindor trade, that might be the end of them. It ended up being the best thing that happened to him. And, if Lindor signs that contract, you can't keep Jose Ramirez. And he's just a joy to watch, man. You can tell he loves baseball, and you can tell how much he loves Cleveland. And, his press conference when he was like, I wanted to be here. He's like, I probably could have gone somewhere if I wanted to, but I like being here. I dig that.
I'd rather get $100 million here than $150 million somewhere else. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a big Jose Ramirez guy. I really enjoy him. Drafted him first in my dynasty league this year, so like him a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Logan, before you move on, I have another question for Tim.
Okay, then.
We were talking unis earlier.
Mm-hmm.
2 questions. One, what do you think about the white Bengal Tiger jerseys that Cincy's coming out with? And then 2, which of the red jerseys are your favorite? Because mine is back when they had the red sleeves and the white pinstripe vests.
You're talking like the Griffey era?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question, they're actually kind of bringing back an older from the past uniforms. Those the color rush jersey they had with the white one with like the all white with the black stripes and the black numbers. But the white helmet looks incredible.
Yeah, it does.
I'm stoked for it. Yeah, I'm really excited because they've never done anything different in my lifetime. Like they've never had a throwback where they wore like the old helmet that said Bengals down the side. So I'm stoked for that. Really excited for that. Favorite Reds jersey of all time. I have a special place in my heart for that one because, like I mentioned, the '99 team was my favorite. It was the team that got me in love with the Reds, and Ken Griffey Jr. is how I fell in love with baseball. So when he came to the Reds, it's one of the happiest days of my childhood. So there's definitely a special place in my heart for those. But the pullovers that they wore, they're during the Machine era in '90 when they won the series, those are kind of always my favorite. I actually have an Eric Davis one in my closet right next to me. So that it's not an authentic by any means. It's a little too pricey for me. I'm about to have a baby, so I can't spend that much money.
Hey, congratulations.
Thanks. So Davis is, that I really enjoy that team. Larkin's a guy who's always been one of my favorite players growing up. So when they want, that's really a cool thing for me. So that's probably my favorite. But low key underrated is mid '90s. Their road jerseys, they had the gray one with the red pinstripes. It said Cincinnati across it. I look at those as like the Deion Sanders era jerseys because that's how I was like, oh yeah, Deion Sanders plays 2 sports. That's really cool because I was a kid in the '90s. I grew up watching the Cowboys and they were awesome.
Right.
So
the Cowboys.
yeah, so Deion, playing for my favorite baseball team, I was like, he's the coolest guy ever because he plays 2 sports.
Yeah.
So I always like put like that run of those Reds jerseys with him, even though like there were way better baseball players.
Yeah.
One of my weird PCs, so I collect sports cards. I'm really into it.
Really?
One of my weird PCs is Deion Sanders Reds baseball cards. I try to get as many as I can. And it's so goofy because they're so cheap. It's not like there's any that are worth a ton of money, but I just like having them because like I loved Deion Sanders as a kid.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Tim. I love it.
Everyone loves prime time. So do you have any other questions, Josh, at the moment?
No, if someone comes up, I'll flag it.
Okay, well, this is the last question. Because, as we've been going an hour, we don't want to take too much of Tim's time.
My wife's asleep. My dogs are in bed. As long as you guys need me, I'm happy to hang out.
Look, he's a trooper, Logan.
Well, yeah, I know, right?
I see Clay Snowden's in the chat, by the way. That's my guy. He's on the show quite a bit.
Yeah, I saw someone named Clay Snowden. I thought, oh, is he
Tim, you are
related
officially
to
the GOAT.
Yeah,
Clay is he's a friend of ours. So he actually he lives in Lexington. And so he came up that weekend for the Cardinal series and hung out with us, and it was cool. It was our first time meeting him in person as well. Clay's really funny because he's from Lexington, Kentucky, but like he's younger, so he grew up in the era of like you can see your team anyways because of Sunday Ticket, League Pass, things like that. So Clay's from Lexington. He's a Reds fan. He's a Buffalo Bills fan. He's a Boston Celtics fan. Most unique. And Chicago Blackhawks. He's a big Chicago Blackhawks fan. Just the most unique fan base I've ever seen in my life.
Clay and I will fight. Sorry. Who's your hockey team, Tim?
I'm not a huge hockey guy. It's not that I dislike it. I just don't know the rules. But I was just in Nashville, and I stayed right by the Predators when I went to SummerSlam. So the Predators arena looks really cool. And like, from what I understand, it's a big deal down there. So like, and my brother-in-law is actually from Nashville. So like,
oh man,
I like their color scheme. If I had to pick one, it might be them, but also, being like a Kentucky, Ohio kind of guy, I'll watch the Blue Jackets. I think their stuff looks cool. And like I said, if I could learn the rules, like I played NHL 94, but it was a little loose. You know how they did the rules in that game. So I never really got to learn it, but I would love to learn hockey. I think it's fascinating. It looks like it's a lot of fun. I just never learned the rules.
Keep you busy in the off season.
A lot better live than it is. So let's talk about Major League Baseball a little bit, since apparently we're going for another hour. No, but
you need me, man. I'm just hanging out.
Yeah, right. Is there a team that excites you?
Yeah, for sure. I know they're playing the Reds right now, but it's hard to not enjoy what the Mets are doing. Granted, they're paying Francisco Lindor way too much money to do what he's doing, but Pete Alonso is a lot of fun, and their pitching staff is awesome. How do you not enjoy Jacob deGrom? He's incredible. Edwin Diaz, his brother, is a pitcher for the Reds, so that's kind of neat. Alexis Diaz, probably be the Reds closer of the future.
Yeah.
So the Mets are a lot of fun. Obviously, the Mariners having a bunch of former Reds, and like I mentioned earlier, Griffey being my favorite player of all time. I always have kept an eye on them. And then, hanging out with my wife's grandma, the Guardians, man. They're in the race. It's a terrible division, but they have a chance to pull it off. Yesterday, they won 1-0 against Houston. Tristan McKenzie looked really good. So,
oh man, Tristan McKenzie. Yeah, that
dude might be 94 pounds.
Yeah, he's a scrawny guy.
Yeah,
but he can throw it.
You're talking about the little bitty pitcher.
My dude,
his legs look like twigs.
My dude's up there at 94 pounds, throwing 101. Like,
he was somebody in the offseason who the Cardinals were rumored to go after. It was like Bieber, Plesac, or McKenzie. And I was kind of wanting McKenzie. I obviously wanted Bieber too, but so you kind of have the Guardians as a backup team, right? Are they close enough, or
They're about 4 hours from me. But we'll go up, a few times a year just to see my wife's family. And I haven't caught a game at their stadium yet, but I'd like to.
Really?
But Cleveland gets a lot of rap for being this like boring, shitty city. But I have a blast every time I go. I was actually there, funny enough, during the Bengals-Titans game this year in the playoffs. So I was in downtown Cleveland wearing a Joe Burrow jersey, the only one happy. My wife's uncle was taking me to a Cavaliers game. So it's like we were at a bar like right by the Cavs arena. And that's a cool place to see a basketball game, man. It's a really neat arena.
Yeah. I've heard that. I think I've like the late Staples Center or whatever it's called now is another one in Cleveland. Okay, so jump back to the Reds real quick because
Sure.
I know Josh is dying to hear this. What is your favorite Reds food?
Ooh, okay.
Hold on, can we free? Okay, answer that, and then I have a food question.
All right, so I wouldn't say Skyline's my favorite Reds food because I eat it a lot outside of the stadium. Matter of fact, had it for lunch yesterday.
Man.
Yeah, it's a big part of like, me. But so they do this kind of cool thing there called the fry box, where it's like they obviously they take a bunch of French fries and then they'll like dress it like buffalo wings. So it'll be like buffalo sauce, blue cheese, celery, ranch, and just like kind of mix it up in fries, and it's really good. So it's a good cheat day meal when I go to the stadium. And then La Rosa's Pizza is obviously a big one here. It's kind of like Cincinnati's pizza brand. It's like a love-hate thing, but I love it. So those are probably my two, just because like the way that they make Skyline at the stadium is way different than if you go to the restaurant and have it. So at the restaurant, it's special. At the stadium, It's not the best. Plus, it's overly priced there.
Oh my god, yeah. Was it $6 for a dog at the stadium?
Yeah. I'll tell you a good
$3 at the
one.
restaurant?
Right, exactly. I'll tell you a good one. So my wife will go to games with me occasionally, and she's vegetarian. So they actually make like a vegetarian hot dog called the Dragon Dog, and it's like got like a. Have you ever seen the Veggie Link, like kind of the veggie hot dog?
No.
It's actually pretty decent, but they dress it with like buffalo sauce, cheese, jalapenos, and like buffalo hummus. It's pretty awesome.
Oh
I
man.
I've been to a lot of stadiums, and I don't think I've ever actually gotten like the signature hot like food there. And and it's never been like a bucket list item, but then Josh mentions the Skyline hot dog, and I'm like, I kind of feel deprived. Like it's kind of like I've been to New York and never gone to the Statue of Liberty or anything. Like I feel like deprived of something now. So now I need to go back to all the stadiums I've ever been to and try their signature food. And I guess I need to go to Great America Ballpark and try the Skyline hot dog, or just go to the store and get it and make it myself. From what it sounds
Wrigley
like.
Field. I'll send you guys a care package if you shoot me your address. I'll send you guys some chili down.
Yes.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
you
need some
don't
of the
know
hot
what you
sauce,
just
too.
signed up for there, Tim.
My whole I do it a lot. I work here, but my whole team for my day job actually works in Minnesota. So they've always heard about Skyline, but they didn't know what it was. So I've had a few of them be like, "Hey, I'll Venmo you some cash. Will you send me a couple cans of chili?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah, happy to do it." And like they'll be like, "Okay, this is really good." So yeah, it's pretty common. You're talking about stadium food.
Yeah.
At Wrigley, the Frito pie dog is like my favorite. It's kind of like pretty similar, where it's kind of like a chili dog, but they have like Frito crumbles in it.
I get down with that.
Yeah.
I love very few things in this life. I'm a very unhappy person. Like I'm never happy with the Cardinals,
He's a miserable person.
but I love Frito pie with a passion. So I'm gonna have to actually go to Chicago now to have a Frito pie dog.
Logan, I don't want to interrupt, but we have an actual question for Tim. I'm going to put it up on the screen so everybody can see it. It's from Mr. Juan.
My guy, he's in the show every week. What's up, Mr. Juan?
All right. Well, so if the PR department of the Reds department asked you how to fix their image without changing the 2024 rebuild plan, without adding money to the payroll, what would you tell them to do?
New unis. It's time.
Yeah.
Hey man,
New unis,
like,
you hit first.
yeah, I feel like Clay, who's in the chat, brought this point up a couple weeks ago, hanging out with us, and it made me laugh about like teams always get new uniforms like when they're about to like go on the up and up. So the Bengals obviously last year got all new uniforms. They go to the Super Bowl. A couple years after the Warriors draft Steph Curry, they get new jerseys. They start a dynasty. So like the Rams went to they got new uniforms. They won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Don't ask me about that, please. I don't want to ever talk about that Super Bowl ever. But still pretty painful. But yeah, new unis, I think is kind of like, I feel like our uniforms are just a little too bland and a little too plain.
Kind of spice it up.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say moving the team.
No.
Obviously,
No. I can't have life without Reds baseball, man. I don't care how good or bad it is.
Tim, you got hit again, man. From
Yeah.
Dylan the Russian.
Dylan. Yeah. So Dylan says not the
good.
Sky Rosa. So it's the Skyline chili.
Okay.
You take a slice of La Rosa's pizza and you wrap it up and you eat it like a folded piece of pizza with a cheese coating inside it.
What?
Jeez. How
I would
how
try
are
it. I
all
would
you
try it.
Reds fans alive with this? Like, this sounds like a heart attack waiting to happen.
I've told you guys, when I'm going to the ballpark, it's cheat day.
Cheat day, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean,
That means you eat the rest of the week.
you don't. Yeah, I was gonna say you don't get to see the from the nipples down, but I mean, my boobs are sagging, and every day is a cheat day for me. So I'm ready to go see some Reds baseball. How about you, Josh?
Dude, I've already told you I love Great American Ballpark. There's not a bad seat in the house. Cincinnati fans have always treated me well when I'm there in a Cardinals jersey, and I always sit lower level. The food is good, and I always go to an actual Skyline when I'm in town. And no, I'm not the Gold Star guy. I am a Skyline guy.
My man.
It's the one thing Missouri is missing that I could get in Indianapolis when I lived there. And I had two of them. One was in Castleton. One was in Greenwood. When I lived in Noblesville, I went to the Castleton location. When I moved to the airport, I went to the Greenwood location. And I tell you this, and no joke, I would walk in. My server was always the same. She didn't have to ask me what I wanted. She knew it was 3 cheese conies and a Chilito and a sweet tea every time.
Yep. That was like that from my local one as well, where I would sit down and be like, 3 no on you with a Mountain Dew.
Bingo.
Yep.
Oh, man.
The Skyline franchise is fantastic. They really are. The people they hire are correct for the brand and for what they are. It's the one thing that I truly love out of Cincinnati.
We get a lot of shit for it from like out of towners. Like anytime like the Mets are in town, they talk shit about it, and it's like, I'm sorry that your food's interesting because your pizza's bigger than everyone else's.
Well, here's what people don't understand, Logan. And here's like, you're from Texas, you have chili. Skyline chili is more of a coney sauce, and it's a completely different flavor profile than what you're used to. So when you have it, don't go and think beans and meat, chunky, hearty chili. That's not what it is. That's what makes it so great.
I was told yesterday that by Texans that beans do not go in chili.
Right.
And I'm like, excuse me?
Traditional Texas chili does not have beans in it.
How else am I supposed to gas up the fire?
I'm a Texas barbecue guy though. Anytime like we have a restaurant up here from a guy who's from Houston that he opened up and he makes Texas style barbecue, and it's the best.
Yeah,
Have you been to Kansas City or St. Louis?
I haven't, and I haven't had anyone around. But like what I've gotten my hands on, I will say,
there is nothing that beats Texas ribs or pork ribs or Texas brisket.
Okay, I'll give you that on the brisket. I'll give you that on the brisket. But you know, St. Louis and Kansas City can hold their own when it comes to barbecue.
That's what I've heard.
It's a different kind of barbecue, but it's in a world of their own. A barbecue pork steak.
I've heard Kansas City can't hold their own against Cincinnati. I don't know. I only had 2 examples of it recently. Can't think of what happened there.
Okay then. We don't like Cincinnati, not Cincinnati, Kansas City. So we're fine. We're fine.
Just try with the food.
But yeah, that was a lot of food talk right there. Dang it, I'm getting hungry.
Well, you always eat after the show anyway, so.
Here's what you guys got to learn. If you have me on your podcast, you might ask me for a topic, but we will go everywhere.
Yeah.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, right.
What's your drink of choice?
Bourbon.
Non-alcoholic. Non-alcoholic.
Oh, okay.
Well, hold on. What kind of bourbon?
Mm.
Because you're in Kentucky, so is it Buffalo Trace?
Buffalo Trace is great. It's a little pricey for me. But it's really good. So if I'm just like sitting at the house, I'll do like a little Woodford Reserve, kind of just like a
My
little shot of
guy.
that.
Woodford, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a big Jim Beam guy. It's not my favorite, but
Nobody.
it's hard for me to turn down. Like, so Boone County bourbon is like literally 5 minutes from my house.
Oh yeah.
And it's pretty decent, but if I just am like sitting around the house and I've got a bottle around, it'll normally be Woodford.
Yeah. Have you ever tried Michter's?
I haven't tried Victor's,
It's a
though
really
I've
good
heard of
bourbon.
it. Yeah, so
Made by the people who made Blanton's, and I think it's better. So
yeah, I do like Blanton's. I like Four Roses a little bit. I know Four Roses is kind of like your $2 wine version of bourbon, but I like it.
it's good. I like
Yeah.
it too. It's nothing. It's a lot better for the price. But yeah, I think it's really good. So yeah, non-alcoholic drink.
So I recently cut weight a lot, and I got really into the fitness. So I have switched to zero sugar sodas.
Ooh.
And cherry flavored soda is like my favorite. So cherry Coke Zero is like my if I have soda in the fridge, that's what it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm a sweet tea guy.
So yeah, I saw. So Dylan said again that Ellie De La Cruz hit an inside the park home run, and I heard about this, but I didn't get into any of the details. Tim, are you able to?
Yeah, it was cool. So he hits a triple. He's in Chattanooga now, in Double A Chattanooga with the Lookouts. So he hits a triple, and Dylan could probably explain this. I'm not really good at explaining play-by-play. It's why I podcast and don't do commentary. But so he hits a triple, and he kind of like when they throw the ball in to kind of like kind of stop the play, he like sees it, and like the shortstop kind of catches in the middle of the outfield, and he's kind of jogging back, and he kind of notices it, and he takes off for the plate. And so like
the shortstop didn't call time, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so-
Shortstop didn't call the play. So when the shortstop throws it to the catcher, the ball bounces after Ellie slides into home plate. So it was pretty cool, man. Yeah. He's special.
Is he fast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's,
Is he faster than Billy Hamilton though? Who's
Nobody can hit.
Yeah. Oh.
Nobody can hit. I mean, I
Oh my
remember
gosh.
Hamilton. He was a terrorist when he played, dude. He was just. Oh, I hated
Well, his
every time he
first
came
year
to
with
play.
it seemed like he terrorized the Cardinals, especially. But I mean,
he was
he's
kind of
really
a Cardinals
kind-
killer. That
Yeah.
was like the
He
only
was.
team. Yeah.
And then I saw that he would like suck against everybody else, and I
Yep.
was like, "Son of a." Anyways, but yeah, yeah, that was interesting. Billy Hamilton. I remember they used to they were hyping him up. They were like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's unbelievably fast," and I thought, "Oh man." So they had
He hit
hardest
like in the
throwing.
minors.
Yeah, he had they had the Reds had the hardest throwing pitcher in the majors, and they also had the fastest kid too, and Joey Votto, but
That
anyways. That guy.
Hitters for the time.
So who's your favorites for the World Series this year?
Ooh, man. So funny enough, I think it's a Subway Series. If I had to make a guess, it's baseball's such a crapshoot, as we know.
Yeah.
I'm not blown away by the Cardinals, to be honest with you, but would I be shocked if they made the World Series? No. Paul Goldschmidt gets hot for 2 weeks. He can carry him. I mean, he's probably going to win National League MVP right now.
I hope so. I hope
He's
that
been
stays.
tremendous. So, yeah, I could definitely see a situation where, the Mets and the Yankees going. So we kind of stretched there for those weeks because when Luis Castillo is kind of being talked about being traded a bunch of places, we would bring people on who covered those teams. And John Chancrady is a good buddy of mine. He runs the Card Foundation podcast. If you're into wrestling trading cards, pro wrestling trading cards, it's a really cool podcast. He's a big Mets fan, so he came on. He was talking about how it'd be awesome to have Luis Castillo, and that's in the Mets rotation. And then the next week they played the Yankees. We had Stacey Gatsoulias, who does Locked On Yankees, and she talked about how much she wanted Luis Castillo. So, and it was so funny hearing them both like, I don't want another Subway Series because if we lose, I'll never hear the end of it. And I'm like, yeah, but if you win, you get to say it for the rest of your life. It's like North Carolina fans, like they ended Coach K, like they ended his career, and they won his last home game. Like they have that credibility over everyone forever. So,
let's talk about the Brewers for a second, because I mean they seem to have given up. They had the biggest head scratching trade deadline, I think. Will you stop playing this game? Josh is trying to figure it out in the chat.
Dude, no way. What's the answer, Dylan? Just give me the answer. I can't. I got more coming in, dude.
Anyways, so what is your assessment of the Brewers so far? I mean, just
I feel like they can win any game because of their rotation, but they don't have a ton of bats that frighten me. And, I don't know what happened to Christian Yelich after he won MVP. He's kind of just become like an average ball player, and maybe that's insulting. Maybe he's probably better than that, but I don't feel like he's shown that. I forgot about it, the 155 stolen base season from Billy Hamilton in the minors. That was Yeah, that was crazy. And it was between two different levels, if I remember correctly. Like it was AA and AAA. He did that. It wasn't like all in one level. I could be wrong there. Dylan would know better than I would.
That's still
but
insane.
yeah, I mean, anytime you have Corbin Burns, you have a chance to win every fifth day. Devin Williams, I thought would be an excellent closer, but hearing him be kind of upset about the moves as well was kind of surprising.
Kind of upset.
Yeah,
kind of
he
upset.
was.
He wouldn't even speak his mind because he knew if he did, he was going to get burned.
Yeah, he was pretty adamant on being upset. So, I feel like this is St. Louis's division to lose. And, Milwaukee just kind of, I feel like they just kind of like, they're going to probably get hot again at some point, but for some reason or they can't beat the Reds at home. They can't beat the Reds when the Reds are in Milwaukee. I don't know what it is. We just go there and we take series from them.
Yeah. Knowing the Cardinals, they're going to wait till the last day to actually win the division. So there's going to be no rest.
The way Goldie and Arenado are playing, I just can't see it. I just think they're going to run away with it at some point.
I hope so. I really hope so. Mr. Juan said, how did the Yankees steal Frankie Montas? I'm still mad about the trade because I think it depreciated Mally's trade value.
I don't think so.
I don't know about depreciating his trade value, but I think it definitely did overshadow because that was a really good pickup by the Twins. And a good return. Yeah, and a good return for the Reds. But yeah, I think Frankie Montas was. It was either the Cardinals or the Yankees he was going to go to, and it seemed like the Cardinals kind of soured on him after that shoulder injury. But yeah, Maile was a good pickup, and I think he was definitely an underrated trade piece at the deadline for sure.
Yeah, I think he'll do well there.
Is it Maile? Molly? How do you say
it?
Maile.
Yeah.
Maile.
No.
I've always wondered.
He'll be good there because it's he's shown that he's struggled with Great American, so he's going to a big ballpark, and so hopefully that should help him out a little more. I didn't see what he did in this Friday start. I hope he did well. I always liked him while he was here.
Yeah. Josh, do you have a question? I'm going to look that up real quick.
I don't have a baseball question. I have other questions.
That's fine.
Go for it.
All right, awesome. So,
does your network give you guys a time? Do we have to cap this at some point?
No,
we
don't listen to our bosses.
4.5 hours.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, he gives us free reign. So, if you could have any two players in the MLB next year added to the Reds, who you think would make that? If you took any two players from the MLB and added them to the Reds next year, do you think they could win the division? And if so, who would they be?
Whew. Any of them. Salary cap withstanding, is that to be realistic?
Nothing. I'm talking anybody you want.
Money is no object.
All right. Well, I guess Vlad Jr. would be pretty awesome in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. And then
So there's your first baseman taken care of.
Yeah, that takes care of the future of Joey Votto. And just because I love him and he's a spark plug, give me J-Rod. I think J-Rod's going to end up being a multiple-time American League MVP.
Yep.
I think he's tremendous.
I was thinking you were gonna say Aaron Judge, but yeah, J-Rod is another good one too. So
yeah, I'm not very good at on the spot. So if I
that's-
had more time to think, I definitely probably would have said Judge. But J-Rod is so fun.
yeah.
Hey, I think you're doing a good job on the spot, Tim.
Yeah.
You're providing me with good material.
Tyler Mahle on August 5th pitched 6 innings, allowed 5 hits, 4 earned runs. So
Sounds
No.
normal.
yeah, not horrible.
That's better than Montas did.
Yeah, that was pretty rough, wasn't it?
Well, I think, and I'm gonna go deep into this one on Wednesday, but Montas, I mean, he was coming. I think he had 11 days of rest.
Well, he came off bereavement.
Yeah,
he had
and
a
then he was
family
coming
death.
off bereavement, and so I think Yankee fans need to just calm down about this whole thing. That whole Montas, he muffed up against the Cardinals, who typically he probably would have hit them if he was. Don't even start with.
With as good as Arenado and Goldie are hitting right now, you think you would have hit the Cardinals?
Okay, I was saying typically with how the team typically is.
Hold on.
This is not Cardinals Chronicles.
I understand that, but still, Goldschmidt's still arguably the best offensive player at the plate right now in the NL.
It was a manner.
I'm more upset you guys have Tyler O'Neill. I love Tyler O'Neill. I wish he was a Red. He's tremendous.
Yeah,
I would have traded Tyler O'Neill for Luis Castillo.
I probably would have done that. I would have been very open to that.
They gave up 3 top 5 prospects for Luis.
Noelvi Marte,
Castillo.
man, he's a bad dude.
Is he?
I'm pretty excited about that.
I've heard really good things about Marte. I know everyone's excited about him. You kind of mentioned Alan Craig twice, and so I wanted to hear, like, is there like a reason? Like, is there a reason why he sticks out?
Just really, I remember him kicking our ass a lot, for a couple of years there. And I remember, that World Series when he just played really well. And I remember when Albert went to Los Angeles thinking like, well, what are they going to do at first base? And he kind of filled the role pretty well for a couple of years.
Yeah.
He had a weird drop off where he just stopped being good really fast.
I think it was his injury in the World Series, wasn't it, in 2013? Because then 2014 you just was not good. I may have forgotten all of that, but yeah, it was a bad drop off. Because I mean, Alan Craig was going to be like the face of the franchise. I mean, it was him, Matt Carpenter, David Freese, and then all of a sudden everybody got traded.
Oh God, Freese! Holy shit, that was a guy who gave me a lot of nightmares.
Oh, David Freese.
When he went to the Pirates, I very much enjoyed that he wasn't good anymore.
Then he kind of picked it up. I was looking at his stats today, and he kind of picked it up with the Dodgers. But anyway.
He was Series MVP when you guys won, wasn't he?
Championship Series MVP and World Series MVP. So yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
First
He
player
used
to
be
do
a
that.
legend for one major year.
He picked up. Anyways, I'll talk about that later on another episode.
I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't good in other years. I'm just saying, like, he will be a legend for those 2 series in that one season. He will forever be a St. Louis legend. That's all I'm saying. Nothing against
Okay,
him.
I get what
I
you're
love
saying.
him too.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, but I think we've been going an hour and a half, and all this talk about hot dogs is getting me hungry. So, Josh, do you have anything you want to say or ask before we have Tim plug?
Tim, could we have you back on at a later date, maybe a couple of times, and you come on for an off-season discussion?
Yeah, man. I'm always down to pod.
All right.
So I spent a lot of money on expensive equipment a few years back. So anytime I can use it, it looks good with my wife. So yes, please invite me anytime.
Yeah.
No, man, you've been fantastic. I've had a lot of fun talking to you. More fun than I think I anticipated because I figured this would be more of a battle talking to Cincinnati guys, and you've been fantastic.
There's a reason
Yeah,
why I was in the middle, right?
I just don't, obviously I would rather see the Reds be winning and the Cardinals be losing, but I don't let it ruin my day.
Yeah.
I'm more upset that the Rams won the Super Bowl than I am anything that the Cardinals do. So
I think all
Same.
three of us are in the same boat right there. But yeah, Tim, it was really nice to have you on. You want to plug your channel real quick before we kick it?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I know a couple of our regulars are in the chat. Dylan, Mr. Juan, thank you guys for hanging out. But yeah, check out Late Night Reds Talk live every Wednesday. If the Reds are off or have a day game, we're at 9 o'clock. Or otherwise, we go as soon as the third out in the ninth inning goes, and we'll be live then. So myself, Nick Kirby, Carlos Guevara, part of the Believe Podcast Network, and we love hanging out and having a live chat with everybody. And also, we've got merch. LateNightReds.merchmake.com if you want to support the brand. It goes a long way for us. So, and then also on Twitter, Late Reds, at Late Reds. We have TikTok. We're not very active with it. I'm really bad with that. That's on me, because I'm the one that normally uses it. But it's something I definitely gotta get better with, because that's where the world's moving to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
I can't make that leap. I had to start looking into Twitch because of future endeavors we may want to do. But
I bought a bunch of like the video game streaming stuff to do on
Yeah.
Twitch, and like I don't know how to set it up. I'm the worst with technology, so
it's apparently I had to go on YouTube for that stuff. But anyways, yeah. I'm not like I can do video editing, but there's some other stuff that I just can't get into. Josh, do you have any words of wisdom you want to say before we kick it?
It's a Monday. I'm sure it wasn't the greatest Monday for anybody. Go out, have a great week, be positive, watch some baseball, enjoy the game for what the game is meant to be and not for what it's not, and have a fantastic week. Join us on Wednesday at 8:30 for Cardinals Chronicles. We'll be on around roughly 10 o'clock Friday night with another special guests, or a couple special guests, and we'll be on around 10 o'clock. That's all I got for you. I hope everybody has a great week. If you can't join us the rest of the week, catch us at our normally scheduled times.
Tim, it's been a really good day. So you know what kind of day it is? I haven't done this in a while. Time to celebrate with the gummies. Sorry, Tim. It's a tradition.
Where is this going? Should I be alarmed or something?
Turn the music on, right? The after show music. But anyways, yeah. Sorry. Thanks, Dylan, for coming on. It was really cool to talk about the Reds. Josh and I, when we started this show, we started talking about like how we wanted other guys who from different fan bases on to talk about their teams and give us insight, because as Cardinal fans, we're kind of spoiled is kind of one of the words that people like to use. I don't know if we're spoiled, but anyways. But yeah, so it's definitely really cool to talk to you. We definitely want to have you on the show again. We'll definitely have you on for news episodes or a topic episode, which we typically do. But yeah, this episode we wanted to, just kind of understand the Reds for a little bit. So thank you for joining us again. And Josh, Tim, live long and watch some damn baseball. Josh, hit that sick beat.